Stressed we slumber to the world of sleep. Let us look at the physical world and expand the experience. Falling on the bed, we commune and rest. The being sleeping with the body, self-intimate with the pillows made of cotton or silk. Today we are going to talk about sleep, but since our guest hasn't arrived, I will tell you my own experience about sleep. I actually tried to not sleep for about, I haven't slept yet, so it's about 70 plus something hours that I'm up by now. So what is sleep? Let's look at that. Sleep is a word, first of all, and it's according to the dictionary, Merriam-Webster, it's a natural state of rest during which your eyes are closed and you become unconscious. You are not conscious of the sound around you. You are not conscious of things around you because you're sleeping. Isn't it like that in a way? That every time we sleep, we get into this unconsciousness and then we wake up and we awake into this new day. It is something like that, isn't it? So when we say it is a natural state of rest during which our eyes are closed and we become unconscious, we have to investigate the meaning of rest. What is rest? It's when the body is minimally functioning and the metabolism is also minimal. But I will add to that. I will expand that a little bit and say, rest is also resting the mind. Because we have this chatter that goes on in our mind during the day that we are so busy with working to get some money to survive. And if we are rich, we are not content with whatever we have because we have so many bills to pay. And so all day long we rush to go to one place and we rush to meet someone else somewhere. And by the time we're about to sleep, we are just not there. Sometimes we cannot sleep. Sometimes we take some pills to sleep. So let's go over this. Let's go over the problems we have about sleep first. Then I'm going to share with you what I experienced within not sleeping for more than 70 hours. Because I want to cross-reference with our guests, and also I want to revisit this because before, there are many times where I tested this point, this not sleeping. I saw my mom not sleeping for 2 days. Whenever there's a wake in the family, someone who died, and she has to do the food and take care of so many things and invite the guests, and she would just go on and on and on. And there's no change in the way she looks. Her energy is the same. And then I wonder, how come she can do that and I can't? But I wouldn't want to get into or test not sleeping from that starting point of, hey, my mom can do this, so I cannot do this, so let me investigate this. No, because I want to have a look at sleep as an instinct. Why is sleep so habitual in that we have to go to bed at a certain hour? We were told when we were young to go to sleep at 6 p.m. or 7 p.m. because where we live is in the country, and there's this light made out of, burning from the oil or from the kerosene. So we have to finish at a certain time and finish washing the dishes and then go to sleep. First, I want to go over the word rest, because so we are not resting the body. We are not only resting the body here. In fact, what is happening here is that I, as the being, is being with the body and resting with, let's call it resting with the body and the mind. Why is it important for us to rest? The mind specifically, let's go there right now. The mind during the day, as I said, is rushing from one place to the next, going from one event to the next, and is going from one place to be able to survive. So at the end of the day, we want to be able to say to ourselves, okay, I'm going to end the day, and I'm going to end this way. Because when we do that, I am more directive of how it's going to be when I go to sleep. Because it's like a program. I remembered, when you close your eyes, you immediately go to sleep like that. You see, as if there's a program that turns on and say, close your eyes, sleep. So I wanted to be part of it. I wanted to set that tone right, meaning direct the way I'm going to sleep for that night, so that I can enjoy and really rest, where the mind is not chattering, and then set the tone for waking up and what I'm going to do for the next day. It is a process, though, that we have to relearn. Because there are many things associated with this. When I was young, at about 1 p.m., my grandmother would say, everyone sleep. Come on, where is Bob? They call me Bob because my name is June Bob from St. John the Baptist. Sometimes now they call me June, but before they call me Bob. And come on. Those who will not go to sleep will get a spanking. So in fear, we would go and sleep. So it's been a habit that sleep was associated with fear, fear of being spanked if we will not do what we're told. Um, and then what else is it associated with? It's associated with a reward because they say, well, if you sleep, you're going to grow. You're going to grow and become healthy. And then there's some food that they reward us, either a beverage or something, a sweet. Just, I want to relearn my relationship with sleep. Oh, I want to step in again and relook at what it is. So, first of all, the experience that I have with regards to not sleeping dates back to when I did not eat and drink for 3.5 days. That was about 2008. Now it's 2016. I don't encourage you to try these things out because it can cause death unless you what I recommend you to do is to consult with a medical practitioner on this. What happened then was I did not eat for about 3.5 days. I didn't know I can do it for 3.5 days, but I continued on, and I found out that on the second day and the second day, I actually can sleep only for 2 hours. The body doesn't like to sleep anymore. And I said, wow, what is going on? I'm not tired. I'm not, my eyes are not falling into sleep like that. Or, this heaviness that comes when it's about 1 a.m., you see. This isn't there. If I put my memory back here, it's a lightness that comes where you have lots of energy and you wonder what you're going to do. Because all the time before that, you don't have don't have time to do anything. So it is a big change. So I haven't really looked at that again. So I took this time to actually relook at sleep and invited our guest, which then encouraged me to relook at this point in my life. Because I want to question the fact that I sleep at a certain time of the day. I fall asleep at a certain time of the day. I don't really know what sleep is, aside from the fact that I'm unconscious of everything when I sleep. But I always have good sleep, only about once every 5 months or 3 months that I have some dreams. But other than that, I sleep. They say I sleep like a baby. So it's not just physical rest. when I did this, Sunday I started. I decided if I'm gonna investigate this, I am going to get some tools with me to kind of be aware of what's going on while I test this out. So Sunday, I was eating normally. And during the night, that's the first night I am not going to sleep. So at about 1:30 to 2 a.m., which is normally when we sleep, I was waiting for this urge, this urge to sleep, this sleepiness feeling. Hey, Gian, you there?
Hello, June.
Hi. Oh, here's our
Hello.
guest. Yeah.
Yes,
How
I
are
have been
you?
wondering what's happening. I wasn't able to make contact with you.
But you are here, and that's the most important thing.
Okay, cool. So June, has the Hangout started?
Huh?
Has the Hangout started?
Well, I gave them a little bit of my poem or rap, whatever you call it. It's
Okay,
in between, really.
all right.
So tell us who you are, because you are the only one that knows really who you are. And I would like to introduce you, but better for you to introduce yourself and then give us a little bit of your story. Let's start with that.
Okay. What kind of story are we looking for? Because I have an entire lifetime.
This 3 nights, 4 day experience.
Okay. All right. So hi everyone. My name is Gian Robberts, and I'm here today joining June on a Hangout regarding sleep. And I'm from South Africa. I'm staying here on a farm, and I'm part of the Equal Life Foundation and Living Income Guarantee Group. And today I'm just going to share a little bit about sleep and what I've experienced personally about sleep. I recently went through a few days of not having any sleep, which I believe you also experienced, June.
Uh-huh. Yes.
And previously in my life, the longest that I've done was 4 days and 3 nights. But those are just points where I've tested my limitations, where I've seen how far I can push myself to go without sleep. But in general, living on a farm and what I do, and also being a father, I don't necessarily get to sleep. You know, it's always a busyness. It's always busy, 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 and you don't naturally have your own time. So I've kind of, for the past 2.5 years since my child's birth, I've been feeling sleep deprived. And I decided recently to test that point to see if I'm really sleep deprived or has it become a mental point inside myself. So I stayed awake for a couple of hours after sleep time, an entire day, plus doing all my work, physical work. And I simply checked with myself what's happening. How is it possible that I was tired, yet I stayed up an entire night up until the next morning again, 3 o'clock, and didn't feel tired. Yet I was claiming for the past 2.5 years that I'm feeling tired. So till I pushed myself beyond my mind belief or interpretation of the situation, I checked for myself physically, what's happening? Am I really tired? So that is my story for now on the sleep. Until we go into deeper questions, more specific questions, I will answer them and look at them.
Thank you. So you are a father with a small kid, and I can understand that you have little sleep, or if any, because I'm also a mother and I experience the same thing. Very interesting that you slept, you did not sleep this long. So what did you find out in this investigation? What stood out?
Well, the most recent one, what I found out was how I've attached value in sleeping. And I've attached the value that I've attached in sleeping was that of refreshing me. Now, here I'm not looking at refreshing me as my physical body, but refreshing me as the person, as the being inside my body. So that's the point that I have discovered through my physical test, and the body was quite fine. The body was awake. I found I could walk, I could move, I could do everything, but in my head is where I start feeling tired. So my head started feeling heavy, and the more I start breathing and the more I start focusing on my breath, the more my head started feeling less heavy. So this I found interesting to practice through the whole time of staying awake, because I tried to equalize my mind with my physical body, where my physical body was stable. And with this, I needed a lot of physical support, which was such as food, and I had to drink a lot of water. But I didn't, I let me just make clear, not sugar food, just general food, like, a fruit or a little sandwich, and not like a meal or lots of sugars, because that's the idea we have, is that we need sugar to stay awake. And I didn't go that route. I supported myself more with grounding foods, and to see how that happens, how that takes place. And what I found is that as soon as I quiet all my thoughts and I quiet whatever I'm thinking and I equalize myself, my body, then I stabilize as the being inside the body as well. So what I've generally attached to sleep was my beingness feeling tired. My beingness in terms of how I cope with things, how I look at things, how I take things on in this reality. But my body was fine. My body has been fine the whole time. Because every time I go to sleep, the belief or idea is there that my beingness is now going to get rest, so tomorrow I can feel new. My body is remaining the same. So that was the general layout of what I have learned through my most recent staying up all night until the next night. And I must say it's quite supportive to now integrate that into every day, to see where I can equalize myself with my body. If I feel anything in my head wanting to look at sleep or wanting to go sleep, and to actually listen to when my entire body and everything needs sleep. That's when I'm actually tired. So that's the point I'm pushing now. And not to use excuses in my reality, such as, my child is too busy, too active, or there's too much to do. I need to do too many things. I cannot do too much labor. I'm getting tired. So I'm pushing beyond all the limitations that I've set out, and to still see what's the feedback. Can I cope with life, and can I cope with myself in a stable way where tiredness doesn't become this head point where your head feels tired all the time, because the body is quite stable.
Right. There's one thing I noticed when I was investigating this, is that when I close my eyes like this, that's when I go boom. It's like a program that brings me to that state so quick. I'm not even aware. Did you experience that? And can you?
I experienced that on the second night staying awake. I was sitting on my bed, and my body was once again wide awake. My body's not tired, but I was reading a book. This was around 3:30 in the morning. And after the book, I'm like, you know what? This is going to be another all-nighter. I'm not tired at all. So I just sat there, done with my book in the dark, and, my wife and child sleeping. And I closed my eyes just for a little bit, and I was like, whoa, what was that? Like I just closed my eyes for 5 seconds, and it's like I sink in, I want to disappear. So then trying to get up felt very difficult. It was very difficult, because now I've already accessed that program, as you say, and it feels like the program just wants to keep pulling you back. And eventually I did just fall asleep somewhere. So I Yeah, the moment I closed my eyes just for 5 minutes, my whole body and everything went into that sleep, 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 sleep.
Right. It's as it's as if there's this pattern that is triggered by the lids, the eyelids closing, just that little bit, and then boom, it goes to the whole sleep point. So how did you direct this?
Well, June, first of all, what I had to realize for myself before I could simply direct it was that through my not sleeping, what did I realize? That it was less possible for me to have thoughts, to think about things, because my energy isn't going to my mind. And as soon as I went into thinking or having thoughts about things, I got tired. And as soon as I focused on breathing, I stabilized. So what did this show me? This showed me that the mind uses more energy from the body than what the body uses to do physical labor outside, which I did do that day. And through the physical labor, I did not get tired at all. In fact, I felt more alive, felt more awake. But as soon as I started sitting down and think about something, I got tired. So now, when we get back to your point, what did I do in those moments was I realized that the mind wants the body to rest so that it can use the energy of the body. It wants to conserve, so to say, the energy of the body for itself. So this is what I experienced when I closed my eyes, is that the mind is kind of like running away, hiding, saying, no, you need to have energy so that the next day you can think all day. The next day you have all this energy to think about things and to go into thoughts instead of focusing on what you need to do in the physical. Because if you look at not sleeping for a long time, the physical can only focus on the physical. The mind cannot be involved that much because then you get tired much quicker and then you want to sleep a lot more. So the body kind of wants to shut the body down to have an overload of energy so that when you wake up, you can just start off your day with thoughts, with thinking, and participating in the mind all day. So this is what I have seen through my own investigation and how I have looked at the point in terms of sleep and why that happens when you close your eyes.
Thank you. So we can cross-reference. This is cool. I like it. So the chores that you did during the day, what is it like? Because you're in a farm, and I see your pictures having all these farm animals, and sometimes with a snake or whatever. So tell us.
Well, Jim, basically you have general farm maintenance, which is cutting grass, picking up grass, feeding horses, doing horses stables, cleaning the horses' hooves, preparing their food. Then you have to prepare a stable again. You have to do the stables twice a day. That's just, little portions of your day. It's not your whole day. But then on the farm, you have projects that we're doing and busy with, like food, growing our own food. We're busy with a moringa project where we grow a very healthy tree. So you can make teas and powder out of it. You can add to your foods, and it's got a lot of properties. So you just add it to your food and stuff, and it adds all those properties to your food. Now we're still experimenting with this, and we just started growing 180 of these trees in our field, in one of the fields we put aside. Now this is a very, very physical project because you have to dig holes that's a meter deep. You have to make them, you have to clean them out, you have to put compost in, you have to put new dirt in, you have to make sure that the grass and weeds don't grow in it. So this is a very long process that daily needs your attention. And then after all the attention, obviously you can leave it to grow. So since we're still in that project, I am currently busy with digging holes, which is me, a massive metal rod, a spade, and for an hour and a half digging holes into the dirt, hitting stones, plucking out stones, moving away wheelbarrows of dirt, fetching a ton of dirt that we have by our dam, and then moving a ton of dirt all the way up into this area we have here. So it's a lot of physical, hard, heavy labor. It's not like just, plucking flowers or watering plants, even though that is part of what we have to do. Then you have, for example, just general garden maintenance, and you have animals you have to look after. I also have parrots. For the parrots, you have to clean their cage, you have to give them food, you have to make sure that their well-being is taken care of. So that's a daily 20, 30-minute maintenance point. And besides all of that, we also have a herb garden. So we have to take over a herb garden. This is what we use also for teas and medicinal uses. And I'm not yet familiar with all the herbs, but I'm helping with it. So that's all I could say for now. And we also have, obviously, a lot of other things that we do, but they're very general, like a pipe burst here, tree branch fall there, or it's raining and there's floods there, you have to go do that and that. Fence is broken down, go fix a fence. So it's a lot of things on a big property that happens randomly. So you cannot always say, I'm doing this today. You can plan it, but it's not necessarily going to happen that way. Yeah, and then, but that does not take all our time because of what we do here on the farm, which mostly takes about 80% of all our time, is computer based, and it is working with other people. So that also takes a lot of energy. Sitting with someone, talking with them, walking them through points or things they're facing in life, and how to effectively look at the patterns, look at the mind, look at the mind conscious systems walking and running through. And then you have to walk them through stages of correction. That's how we support and assist each other here, and how to make sure that each one is also taken care of, because it's a community living. And courses that we develop, videos that we make. I mean, there's so many projects. So you're not just sitting or relaxing somewhere every day. And then I also have a son. So my fatherhood role comes in, where I have a certain time of the day or any random time, once again, that I need to grab him or I need to look after him for an hour or an hour and a half. And he does not sit still ever. He wants to run. He wants you to carry him. He wants you to kick a ball. He wants to go play in the sand pit. So you have to really be on your toes when you're with your son, which is pretty cool. Because while I was doing this experiment of not sleeping, I still remained the same. I didn't go, oh, I'm tired, leave me alone, I didn't go, oh, you know what, I don't feel like it. I took a deep breath every time. I physically grounded myself and I pushed through whatever mind point was coming up and relied on the physical. So that's basically how the farm runs in a very short explanation.
Wow, that is a lot of things to do. Now that we have talked about the adult sleep patterns, why don't we talk about your son's sleep pattern? How old is he? And please tell us what goes on.
His name is Caesar, and he's currently 2.5 years old. And his sleep pattern, I can't say he has a pattern actually. Sometimes he will go to sleep at 12 at night and he'll wake up at 8 in the morning. And then that same day he woke up at 8, he will go nap at 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock. And then after that, he will stay up till 3 in the morning. For what reason, we don't know. And then he will wake up again at 8 o'clock. And we'll be like, but you went to sleep at 3. Aren't you supposed to sleep till, at least till 11 or something? And then that same day, he will go to sleep at 4 in the afternoon. And then he will only go sleep at 3 at night again. And then it changes drastically the next day. So I think at this stage, we haven't established yet a proper sleeping pattern for him, because we are kind of allowing him to feel what his body is asking for, because we do have the environment to accommodate that and to see how the human physical body actually functions without forcing it into schedules such as a lot of people have to do, unfortunately, in the system. So this is also part of what we can look at the child and the human body's natural physical development. And it's pretty cool to see how a child completely listens and understands what their body wants. They don't go sleep because they just want to sleep. They go sleep once they say, I'm tired. And they wake up once they are done sleeping. They don't go, let me just lay down a little bit more. He will sometimes wake up with his eyes wide like this, and they'll be like, let's go play. Where we wake up, we go, Oh, yo, just give me 5 minutes, please. Or let me just drink something first. So if you look at a child's body, it's quite interesting to see what we used to be and what we've become, and you can look clearly at the difference. A child does not have a mind as an adult yet. So they are not in that whole thing of something else taking the body's energy. They don't think all day. They don't sit in a depressed mode all day thinking about their life, all the struggles and things that's happening, which we adults tend to do even though when it's not necessary. We tend to just be in survival or be in thought about problems or relationships or whatever occupies a person's life these days. And we just overthink everything. So there's another physical reference if you look at a child and how they do sleep and how they trust the body to decide, I need sleep, I need rest now. And there's no time put on it. There's no schedule as in, my body needs 6 hours or my body needs 8 hours. It's a matter of, I'm done sleeping, let's play. Or I need sleep, even though it's just for half an hour. Sometimes he sleeps for 10 minutes and he wakes up from that as if he slept for an hour and a half. And then we are like, we plan to do a lot of things in an hour and a half's time because that's his usual napping time. We don't know when he naps, but when he naps, it's usually an hour and a half. But sometimes he just wakes up after 10 minutes and go, I'm done. So yeah, that's a child's sleeping pattern for us so far.
That is really cool because we have someone to cross-reference with, and it aligns to what you do actually, which aligns to your website, which is the living income. I can see that if we have enough money, we can really do what the child does. But if we don't have money, we can't because we're tied to work. We're scheduled to work at 6 and go back to work at 5 or whatever time we work. So
Yeah.
how does that provision for this income make, for me, it's creation, it's directing, makes possible for us to direct sleep in a way that we can work with the body because we are free to actually, when the body says, all right, I gotta rest now. And so we just say, okay. But then if we are at work, we can't do that. So does this tie up, or how do you see it?
How do I see? Sorry, I think the connection cut out in the first 30 seconds. You started talking about this point. I got the rest. I'm just looking for where you asking in a living
income. Because if we have an income coming in, because your website is livingincome.me, right? So tell us more about this, because maybe that's the key for us to work with the body in such a way that we have freely time to kind of do what the body needs, because we're not working so much. And for me, it just makes sense because we're in a hurry to go to work all the time. And when we're called for overtimes, we have to do it for money reasons. And so, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, it's very simple. If you provide a living income guarantee to every single human being on this planet, regardless of who or what they are, just because of the fact that they are alive and that they were born into this world freely. They weren't born into this world without even knowing what system they're going to be enslaved to. And if you look at every child, their natural expression is give and receive. There's no, I have to work for something before I can receive something. Like if you look at a child when they're born, they naturally just go for the breasts to feed. They don't go, wait, do I have to first work for this? Can I have this? Is it like, do I have to dig a hole? Do I need to build something for you before I can have some of that. You know, life is designed to give, and a child is designed to receive. And so the cycle continues of give as you would like to receive. But what we have done is we've created an enslavement system where we are indebted to this world, where you're literally born into debt in a way. You know, there's no level ground for anyone. If you're born into a family that's in debt, you're in debt as that child. If you are born into a family that's got a lot of wealth, that wealth is probably also built on debt. So you're in debt to this world. So now if we go deeper, what is debt? You know, it's money that we literally made up out of thin air and we lend it to someone else. And now someone else has to, with their physical labor, their real hard work, pay that back. They have to pay back something that doesn't actually exist. So why don't we just create money? You know, doesn't matter how we do it, we're doing it anyway right now. Cancel all debt in this world and give everyone from birth till death a living income guarantee. Now, living does not mean basic. You know, if you've seen the basic income guarantee projects, it's where they're planning on giving, you know, for example, in South Africa, the basic income here is 100 Rand a month. Now, let me tell you what you can do with 100 Rand a month. You can buy 5 breads and then you can starve to death for the rest of the month. So that's not going to work because most people don't even have any source of income. They literally grow their own vegetables on the small patch of land they have. And that's how they survive. Or they borrow from their neighbors where maybe 1 out of 12 people has a job and can afford a big bag of porridge every month. So we're not looking at basic, we're looking at living. What can you give every person for a lifetime, each and every single month, so that from the beginning of that month to the end of that month, they are living. They're not surviving. So we can take people out of survival. Because you know what's the difference between an animal when they're in survival and when they're relaxed. When an animal's in survival, they will attack you. If you try and corner them, or if you try and touch them, they will attack you. But if you go to an animal that's relaxed and their bellies are full, you know, you can go pet a lion when his belly is full. So that's just one example. Don't go try it now. Some lions do bite still. But I'm just saying, if you look at that example for nature, we can create the same for the humans. We can give everyone a living income guarantee where you remove everyone from that survival mode and we put them into a creational process. This means where you can focus on what do you want to create? What do you want to do? And people usually say, you know, you're going to get a lot of lazy people. There's going to be just lazy people out there. No one's going to want to work. Show me one child that's lazy when they're born. Show me one child that did not successfully walk. Okay? So I'm just showing you that you're not born lazy. A child kept practicing how to walk. They kept practicing how to run, how to kick a ball, how to speak consistently. There's no such thing as a lazy human being. A lazy human being is created for a depressing, oppressing, just very bad system. Okay, we can get all the words in the book here, but that's how you create a lazy person. By killing their spirit, by killing their motivation, by killing their hope, by killing their basic rights to live. Now, if we give that back to humans, if we give back their childhood to them, you will find out that there's a creational being in there that loves to create, that loves to learn, that loves to explore things. And that's a physical love I'm not talking about, not a feeling love. So just look at that word over there. And this is what with living income guarantee we can try and achieve, you know, but obviously you need the agreement of the world. And for that, you need self-change first. You need people to first look inside themselves and to find themselves and see who they are so that we can all stand together and start changing the system to what's best for all life. Because if the people are still in the same mentality they're now as and don't go through a process of self-change, it's going to be very, very difficult. So the process of self-change is predominantly necessary, but that is a very hard and long process once again, unless you create a super strong group that can do anything and make things happen. But that is very difficult in this reality because everyone's got their own opinions, everyone's got their own ideas, everyone's got their own ways. So it's very difficult to come together and to see what works. Can we do this for the next 20 years, even if that's what it takes? We cannot rush anything. That's the thing. Rushing means the mind. The mind loves to move fast, but the physical moves slow, patience, one step at a time, to make sure every step is solid, to make sure that there's no track left behind that does not fit in with the next track. That's how you know the physical moves. The mind will jump over and you cannot follow back how you created or where you came from. So that's another thing with physical process. Most people these days don't have the capacity to even read a book for hours on end before they get bored and want to go party or get wasted. That's a typical mentality I see in my environment, mostly with the people that's here. It's like, let's watch a quick movie for an hour and a half and then they go sleep. Focus is gone. So we need to develop human beings that can walk a physical process that is patient, strong, and that moves as a group consistently. So this is how I see future developments from my perspective. There's obviously many perspectives.
Thank you. I can relate to the depth part, because the reason why we can't sleep most of the time is because we're thinking about bills to pay, about different problems that we don't have solutions, and most of it is money based. And money is also a word, and sleep is a word. So I know that you are also investigating about words. Please share with us your meaning of sleep.
The meaning of sleep for me. Well, let
Yes.
me explain how I've lived the word sleep. All right. Sleep was usually for me to get to the next moment. So let's say I come home and I see my mom and dad is, they're just sitting around. It looks boring at home, and I know that 8 o'clock tonight there's a TV show. I'm talking about years back. How I remember I used to live sleep. So I decide, you know what, I'm gonna sleep for 3 hours, and then when I wake up, there's a show to watch instead of just hanging around the house for 3 hours. So I would use sleep as a way to leap in time. All right. So it's like a time traveling device I've used. If I'm depressed, angry, sad, I would usually go to sleep to get rid of those emotions and feelings, to not have to face them right now, not have to live with them right now. Sleep will just delete it. Sleep will just move it out of my life. And when I wake up, I can feel refreshed, I can feel new, and I can start over and create the exact same thing. But now, after many years of working on myself and developing myself, I've come to use sleep as just what it is, to rest my body. I do not use sleep as a reason at all. There's no more naps in my life. There's no more, I just want to lay down for half an hour. There's no more, you know what, I should be in bed at 11. If I have to wake up at 6 in the morning and I go to bed at 3, I wake up at 6. That's how I've designed myself for sleeping. Sleeping for me in the last 2.5 years has become more resting. I've actually changed the word from sleep to resting, because with my son in the first 3 months after his birth, there was no sleep. So me and my wife kind of went through a period where we redefined sleeping to resting. Resting was at that point good enough for us. As long as we can lay down for 2 hours, whew, because he was crying and needy in the beginning, and diaper changes and so many things happening that you're learning at the same time, having acid reflux, finding out about stressful environment, change the environment. So there's a lot of things we did in the first 3 months, and we didn't get a lot of sleep through that. While I was starting up a new job, a business that I was running. So there was a lot happening in my life in that time. So sleep was not a luxury or even a point I was considering my life as, oh, I'm just going to sleep tonight for 8 hours. It's maybe tonight I get 4 hours sleep. Just maybe. And that was good enough for me, because then I rested. My body is quite cool. And so now I'm showing you how I went from the past relationship that I've lived towards the word sleep, and how I have now experienced myself with this changes in my life, and how I've redefined sleep to be more of a resting, more of a chance for my body to just recuperate. And then when I stand up from there, I just breathe and I rest in every moment. I relax in every moment. I make every moment a chilled moment. I don't overload myself. I don't allow emotions and feelings to drive my body beyond what it needs to go. So sleeping has kind of not remained sleeping, if I can say that.
Yes. I found out that there's a point when I was doing this that my partner said, "You dozed off." I said, I'm not aware I did. So how are we going to prove to each other that I did? And because I have a habit of embracing myself and just kind of being with the physical and just being there and just being there, because throughout the day you normally have a lot of things to do and things like that. And of course I'm in that pose and he's looking at me and he's saying, "Oh, you're asleep." I said, "But am I on this kind of pose? Because when I'm on that pose, I close my eyes, but I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so that I know I don't sleep or doze off. Because if I don't, immediately the unconsciousness comes." So
Yeah.
this is one point that I have looked at, because Caesar, your son, just naps for 1 hour and a half, you said. And what I found out in this journey that I had with sleep is that I can actually recharge my body for an hour or 2 hours. It doesn't really have to be 6 to 8 hours. Uh, But this is not to say that you can't or it's not right to sleep 6 hours or 8 hours. That's why I put a disclaimer below this video, is that people will understand that they will have to consult with a medical practitioner if they really would like to investigate this. And I would have a warning there that it can cause, illness or death if they do this without supervision. But that's what I found out, that I can sleep and rest for 1 or 2 hours at a time. And
Yeah.
when I wake up, my body is still okay. And I can cross-reference with you the point where the body is okay. Really, it's just the mind that's like so habitually in this mode of, I'm tired because I've been chattering all day. Close your eyes and please get into that pattern. I need that energy, you see. So, yeah. So, um, sleep is really a very interesting topic. And another thing that I saw that can be a consequence outflow of us not being able to direct this sleeping patterns is that in the in spirituality, there is such a thing as yoga nidra, or the yoga of sleep. That's what they call. And in different parts of society, there's a point where you look at the hotels and the motels, it's only for sleep and they charge money for it. So in your life, what can you see could be the consequence outflow of us not directing these sleep patterns?
Well, first of all, if you get home from work and the first thing that's on your mind for the next 5 hours is sleep, before you actually go to sleep, because you still have to shower, eat, do all the chores at home, then you're not really going to enjoy living. You're going to feel like you want to sleep the whole time. So your life is literally going to revolve around, when can I sleep, if we do not change these habits of sleeping. So that's the consequential outflow I can see, is for a lifetime of not living, but just looking for when can I sleep. You just came from work, you're tired, and all you can think about sleep. And now you're watching TV because it's almost like sleeping. Now you're eating dinner in front of the TV because it's almost like sleeping. And now you are going to shower, and then you're gonna get dressed, and then you're gonna read a book a little bit because it's almost like sleeping. So a lot of your activity in your life become about sleeping. If you know, it's like almost similar to sleeping, like a motel. You know, a motel is like a luxury place or a nice place or a different place, a different location that you can go to, but it's like sleeping. You know, your main activity there is sleeping. So if I look at that manifestation, everyone needs to sleep. Yes, you do. And if we don't change our relationship towards sleeping in general, then our lives are going to be dominantly being directed by sleep. I mean, I've met so many people that the only thing that's on their mind is getting home and sleep. So I'm
And
like, but
that's
why? Why? You have 5, 6 hours after coming home to do something completely different with your life than working for some other person for a salary. If you can just get out of that tiredness of life and use those 5 to 6 hours constructively, you can create a whole new other life for yourself. You know, so these are for people that work from 9 to 5 and they go to bed at 11 or 12. Some people has different schedules, like shifts. Obviously, shift work is a lot more difficult because they will have you in for 2 days, and then they'll have you out for 2 days, and then they'll have you at night suddenly, and then during the day suddenly. So shift work is a little bit different, but you still have that time that you can do something else with your life. So we have to get out of that pattern of sleep is my savior, sleep is my comfort, sleep is my safe place I can go to. And we need to start living in the real world where sleep just becomes something you do for your body and not to get out of this reality or to hide from this reality. And I believe this is the only way that people is actually going to get together in this world, is if we rest and sleep less and actually do it only when it's needed and focus our time that we do have to ourselves to change this world.
cool. So I looked at the word sleep and I saw slip in unconsciousness. And then for some reason, I saw when you play with phonetics and sounding of the word, I looked at self-pit where for rest. So what about your sounding of this word? How would
Sleep,
you?
the sounding of the word sleep.
Uh-huh.
Well, if I look at, it's like a snake, you know, a snake goes. So in the beginning you have a snake, and then you have utter leap, like a snake leaps, you know, when a snake attacks. So if you look at sleep, it's something that attacks you. It's like, oh, I'm suddenly tired, or oh, I need to suddenly go sleep. And that's how a poisonous snake does attack you, right? Then you can quickly get poisonous, you feel weak in your body, you feel tired, and then you can eventually die, and then you sleep forever, or you can go into a coma, or you can go into, you know, any kind of physical consequence where you're sleeping or knocked out. So this is how I played with the word, where I look at the S as a snake, and then a leap is how the sleep, the snake just leaps and attacks you. Suddenly you're tired, or you have an excuse to be tired. And if you also look at a snake is usually either repeating the same pattern, you know, how the snake eats itself, you know, where they chew their own tail.
Uh-huh.
And then you also have where a snake represents deception. So where you're deceiving yourself, where you say, I'm tired, as avoiding your reality, because sleep is where you're not inside your reality. So this is how I've played with the word, looking at the first letter, because I couldn't place the first letter somewhere. So I looked at the sounding of, and I connected the snake. And what does a snake do when they attack? They leap at you, you know, they jump.
Boom.
And then I was like, that's how I see sleep can affect us. It's like a sudden tiredness because it's the mind that is now playing some pattern out, some repetitive point, avoiding reality or being poisoned by something. And but when we go to bed as a decision of my body is tired, not because I want to or I desire to, but because my body is tired, then we can actually call sleep sleep, because now you're sleeping with a practical, directive reason. It's not just because.
Right. I actually also tested a little bit of kinesiology. I said, all right, um, through the muscles, cross-reference, uh, I would sleep now, and see where the muscle is at pointing me. So next, on March 2, we have a kinesiologist guest. And I'm looking forward to having her here. Also, I would like you to look at this word, to look at this meaning of sleep, the natural state of rest during which your eyes are closed and you become unconscious. Can you relate to this, or how would you um,
Yeah, that's what I relate to when I say if we go to sleep without it being a want or a desire, then we can actually call it sleep. But if sleep isn't that, then we cannot call it sleep. Then it is where I say the snake. It's the leaping of a snake, a sudden tiredness, where you're avoiding your reality. Because our bodies do need a very deep sleep to recuperate itself from a daily or many days of work. Because it's usually when the body is shut down that it can heal itself much faster, where it can regenerate some damages that was made on the muscles or ligaments and so on. Whereas when you're conscious the whole time, moving the whole time, your body can't do that, can't focus on that. And that's how you have to look at, do I need to sleep now, or is this just a mind point where I want to be unconscious, like putting yourself on drugs, being in a coma, getting high on something and just getting out of this reality. It's the same thing. Most people just can't afford drugs, so they use sleep.
yeah, it's kind of like uh, momentary death that you always go to and come out of. And it's very interesting what you said. Another point that comes up for me is, when I was testing this out, I felt my heart suddenly starts beating faster. And I thought, is that just me, or is that real? So I took a blood pressure monitor and looked, and yeah, it's getting faster. So I breathed through and practiced some breathing and tested again. And yeah, it was stabilizing at the point where I was about halfway through my third night. Can you see that? That it's not actually um, something that we cannot direct. We can, if only we take time. And of course, time, where can we get that? But
Yeah, because you're in the system, you're working. That's
yeah,
most people's problem. Yeah. But you
exactly.
see, that's why I say it's not necessary to test this point out. It's to use the time that you do have and to practice not being tired in that time, and to make a practical assessment for yourself. Place maximum 6 hours of sleep that you require every day in 24 hours. That should be more than sufficient. I've tested that out for years of myself, where I only sleep for 6 hours every single night, while we were still constructing and building on the farm, which means even more labor, more harder work, and while doing what we're doing now at the same time. So I've really tested that out. Obviously, I'm a younger guy, so I'm not talking about older people that's already gone through life with a lot of unconscious and subconscious points that we don't understand, and that might come through when you try and only sleep 6 hours a night. So obviously, this point is for everyone to assess within self-honesty. Don't
Right.
just take it on blindly. You have to know your body. You have to understand your body, and you have to accordingly apply changes to your life. You cannot just over one night say, okay, I'm changing everything now, because your body has already gone through years of conditioning itself to how you've been living in patterns. So to correct that's going to take time and writing.
Right. And also, please look at the disclaimer down below this video and check with your medical practitioner. I also can see, Gian, that I can now easily get 6 hours to 8 hours of sleep, no problem. And sometimes, if I need to get a little bits of naps of 1 to 2 hours as I go through the day when my body needs it. And to me, that's freedom, to be able to direct yourself in a way where you're not in a corner and the snake hasn't bitten you. You know.
But how do you keep the snake out? It's up there.
Right, right.
Breathing.
And the mind is full of biases, and to release those biases is actually key, so that this word is free from biases like judgments and fears, so that then you can look at this word and live free of those biases. You agree with me? And please give us your statement, because we are going to close very soon.
Okay. What statements I give?
Meaning, just like a closing statement.
Okay.
Closing statement, yeah.
Thank you everyone for watching and for listening to what I have to share about sleep. And please do not try this at home if you do not trust yourself. Read a disclaimer, as Junroka said. And I'm looking forward to hanging out some more in the future. Thank you very much, June, for inviting me and to talk about sleep. And check out the livingincome.me website or the Equal Life Foundation Facebook page. Please don't be shy. See what we're all about research, investigation, finding ways to create this world to a place that's best for all life. And hopefully we can create this world where we can decide when we want to sleep, because we won't be tired of life. We'll be feeling alive, and where we can live life to the fullest, and where sleep becomes secondary instead of being a primary point we search for every day. So once again, thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of the evening, and thanks, June.
Thank you, Gian. And I would like to remind everyone that Gian is also into looking at words and, you know, um, directing words. And I am also into that. So look at our blogs. And for me, I have something for you in my website. Please have a look at that, junroka.com. And we'll see you next time.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you,
And
Gian.
bye.
Bye.